Hello everyone, welcome back to Locke's Quest. Now we're at Dark Ridge. This is where the final frontier of defeating the Clockworks is. As you can see, the Kingdom Force are trying to take out as many Clockworks as they can, but they're low in Arcaneer, and so they're not going to be able to handle it much longer. Don't think I've ever mentioned how the Arcaneers are kind of like the Jedi of this universe. Well, we need to protect 2 damaged source wells. I actually wonder what the source wells being damaged actually would have done to the amount of source that you could have gotten. You know what? One thing I still wish that they had done. One thing, and it's so minor in my mind, but it's probably would take forever to code. And the elite brutes, they're kind of hard. But back on what I was saying. One thing I wish they had actually done was that you could have just gone back and just defended places, like an actual war zone was going on. And this is like in this area, just like the 3 wells, is a place where you have to defend multiple source wells. So you want to you want to spread yourself out a bit, so that way because you know that Locke can't get around the field as quickly as you might want him to. So make sure that you set up a good defense on both sides to make sure that your towers and that your source wells aren't getting taken so easily. So you want to defend this area more because you're probably going to spawn, quote unquote, at the top end of the field, which means that you're going to want to put enough defenses around that bottom half because it's going to take you the longest to get there while you're going to be at the top half anyway. In like a day or 2, you're going to get another character to help you out, so they'll be able to take up half the fort. But by then, you're also going to have another plot thing that will cause you to only have to defend 1 source well. Yeah, I know, spoiler, whatever. As far as your general defenses, I'd recommend just putting up, like I'm doing here, acid traps and your shrapnel turrets, because those are going to be very helpful to you. Also, you want to go ahead and put up your damage multiplying turret and your ranged turret. That way, your turrets can take out enemies from farther distances and do more damage to them from farther distances. Because the closer the enemies get, the harder they're going to attack your turrets. And the last thing that you want is to lose walls during this particular section. Because they're elites, they're going to take out the source well very quickly. And if they take out that source well, then that's you have to restart the entire thing, which can lead to irritations. Funny thing about Locke's Quest, I actually never died during this recording, like any time. I never even died once, which is very rare because I at least die once when I'm playing through the game normally. So I felt good about not dying a lot during this, and I just I left that thing undefended. As you get, even though you're in higher grade of walls and turrets and everything, make sure that you remember, even if your walls and turrets are spiked walls and the like, or even like any other types, remember that your walls can still be taken out pretty easily. The enemies do scale compared to the amount of walls that you have. Meaning, as the game progresses and you get these walls, because they're story walls, they're story related, as you keep getting them, you'll, the enemies will keep getting higher in damage. So, no matter what, you're never going to want to leave your walls, you're never going to want to leave them, like, in a place where they're going to be, like, shall I say, undefended by any means. And you can see I'm low on source. This is a place where I recommend getting a lot of source and using that cache ability to get more source. Because when you're in this area, you're gonna you're gonna need to have a lot because there's a boss fight at the end of this area, unlike other areas. Also, make sure that you don't waste all your source on the first few days. Don't splurge on the first few. Try to keep your defenses hot. Your defenses on the minimalist scale that you can, but on a good amount, because you're gonna want to put up traps and everything, so that way you can help defend the walls. Because once you get to that boss fight, things aren't gonna go well. Because that actually is next to the final 2 bosses. That boss fight is actually one of the hardest boss fights, and it's a magician boss. Which, if you remember from like previous parts, I mentioned how I really do hate the Magician Clockwork in general. The Magician boss himself is not... It's not... He's hard, yes, because he does so much damage, but the next two bosses are ones that you're gonna really want to be prepared for. And as you can see, there are also ghost turrets around, and I didn't put up a revealer helper, so I'm gonna have to deal with the ghosts myself. Otherwise, they'll just start hitting the turrets. Luckily, we haven't gotten to the elite ghost, so this won't be a major problem. And there's the freeze ability. Like I said, most of your I don't know if I've said it, but most of your attacks, like your ones that happen on screen and the like, those attacks are and here's the money ability. Those are more or less status effects, like mobile status effects. So if you want to, use those, then that's good. Once you use the money ability, run around, because the clockers will constantly drop source. So make sure that you don't just you don't stay in one area. Like in the other half of the map, there's money there's like source being dropped everywhere. So make sure you just use that at probably the end of the match. It would be the best case scenario to use it, because at the end of the match, like when the last 10 seconds, use that on any clockworks that are still around and just try to gain a lot of source from them. Because you get less source from that ability, but you still get a lot. So it's like diminishing returns, because then you get a lot, but you don't get you get a lot, but it's not as much as a single source. Like it takes two amounts of that, but there's so much it doesn't really matter. And here I am using the repair ability. Repair All is a really good ability for when you're in maps like these, because then you're not going to have to deal with running around and having to use your ratcheting on all of them. Also having the helper turret, and there goes a lot of getting stuck on something. Also using the helper turret that heals your other turrets. That's also a good idea, though it doesn't heal it for a lot, which is kind of why I don't like it, because when it doesn't heal it for a lot, it only heals it for 8, and it still uses your source. It's kind of useless. It only works really if there's like a cooldown period between clockwork invasions. Here's the elite guardsman, or the veteran. Can't defend both. Protect our retreat. I'll give orders to abandon the source well. Okay then. As you can see, they're kind of losing morale, and yeah. I kind of lost a few things. Splash mine, that's a explosive trap. Destroys everything almost. As you can tell, that front area was kind of gone. I'm just gonna admit, I sucked during this section of the game, because I can't. There's so many enemies that come around, and even with the repair all and money turrets, even with traps, this area is rough, and I don't blame you for dying here or anything. When I first played the game, I actually died a lot during this section. And I don't mean like died as in Locke just died, I mean died as in I like lost a lot. So I don't blame you if you lose. I know someone in the comments in one of the videos said that they were surprised I hadn't died by this point. I actually died a few times when I first played the game, but as I've gotten better, like I've said, I just stopped dying as much. As you can see, I'm putting up repair helpers, because we're going to have to deal with that boss, so I might as well just go ahead and have some extra defense to help my turrets out. Remember, the range on the helpers isn't infinite. It doesn't affect all your turrets, it only affects certain ones. So if you have a damage helper and a range helper next to each other, that's probably the best, because then they're going to affect whatever turrets are both around them. But more than likely, they're not going to affect all of them. Like, look at that section on the left, where the helper turret is in between both of the other two. That's going to make it harder for the range turret to even help the other one, which means that's probably not going to. And since we're only defending one source well now, you can set up multiple walls, or multiple lines of walls, which is good. This is one of the few sections you can actually do that, and it not be a major irritant. The only other section I can really remember that you could do this in is actually the section with the digger boss, because he keeps destroying your walls. So you can, but that's one of the only sections you can actually funnel clockworks in. Let's also make our splash mine. It's probably the best mine in the game if you need the extra damage, like if you want that. But for the long run, it's probably one of the weaker ones because it only really does extra damage. As far as doing anything else, like status effects that could really help out, it really isn't made for that. It is more helpful at the end of the game, but I don't use it that much because this is almost the end of the game right here, and I'm almost well on time, so I won't be able to put a lot of them out. So yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't use it that much, but and as you can see, the helper turrets were able to affect the ones in the front as well. Their range goes more forward than it does go behind them or to the side of them. But some of them don't really get help that much, and that we can see the shadow of that thing on the ground. Anyway, so for this section, as you can see, I've just stacked up on walls, so my entire defense is completely out there. If they break through one wall, then that's it. Like, that's almost it, because the back wall is literally helper turrets. There's nothing there to help me out, except for the Kingdom Force, and we all know how they suck. If you played the game, my god, they really don't, they really nerf those guys. Those guys really don't have any type of attack. And as you can see, the range helper is helping my Rotogun turret out, because now it can see that enemy, and it can hit that enemy. Not. I thought it could, but it can't. Yeah. Even with the range helper, that enemy is out of range, so the turret can't even see it. Kinda gay. And by that I mean like homosexual. I mean like homosexual. I don't mean like homosexual. Like, that's just so gay. But it's just not. That's not fun. And the damage repair turret is also helping that wall in the front. So yeah, see, this is a good time to use it when you have a good defense up and you have a lot of clockwork just like at your door, quote unquote, and you could just use it. This is a really good place to use the money ability to just drop a bunch of source on your character, and then you'll have more. And then use the lightning ability to just take out any other turret, any other clockworks. Like I said, the repair helper is alright, but the problem with him is just that he doesn't do enough damage. If he did more damage, I'd be perfectly fine with him, but since he doesn't, it's kind of annoying. If he does more damage, if he had repaired more. God, what's with my thinking today? Ugh. If anyone wants an update on the computer situation, because this will probably be uploaded before I get it back, we did take it to the shop. It's in the shop. We just have to wait for it to, for them to finish working on it or whatever, and then whatever the problem is will get fixed. It shouldn't cost a lot because it was one of those low-costing shops, quote unquote. So, and I put air quotes on almost all this stuff because sometimes low cost doesn't mean. Low cost could mean like, oh, we cost you less than the name brand, but it still cost you a lot. So, yeah, like, if low cost is like $50, but like, for what they're doing, it's nothing, then come on. They're just giving up. What the heck? Since when did we give up? Just quit. And there's the boss, Mute. Ah, great, we're getting into the Pure and the Mudbloods area. Oh, and Heather came back, and she can just, like, Bruce Lee all of the clockworks in one punch. And just, like, Falcon punched everyone. At least those two did in the run. something I think about what Mute says there, where he says, he had a vision for you. I wonder what the vision was. And when I say the Mudbloods and Pure thing, I mean from Harry Potter when they find out that Hermione is a Mudblood, which is just a person which is a wizard who's been born of like a wizard parent, I believe, in like a normal person. And as you can see, I'm moving my stuff around because this defense isn't gonna work against Mute, because if he breaks through both sides of walls and I just like die, like there's nothing I can do about that, then that's not good. So I'm setting up a higher my defense up higher, so, like closer up, so that way my helpers are in the way, and then my actual turret can just be there, just as an extra level of defense. Since you have Heather in your area now, remember to have a door, because if she doesn't have a door to go through, then she can't actually leave the area. The AI is not programmed to go through anything other than a door, or maybe a small crevice. Other than those, though, it kind of just falls over and just. It's not good. It's not good. It's no good! That's no good! Getting a princess isn't so easy. God! Oh, Sonic 06. I can't stand that game. Anyway, as far as defense, I don't do what I'm doing here and putting up splash turrets at your front wall. You should put, freeze traps. Like I'm doing here. Since the turrets have more range, you can put freeze traps out farther though. So I guess if you want to, you can actually do what I did there. Because if you put the freeze traps out farther, then the clockwork stay away and they can actually get damaged more and all that, so. Anyway. Like I said, remember to have a door, and after this day, you should really make sure, or just during this entire little section, make sure you're grabbing as much source as you really can, because you're gonna want to get enough to, shall I say, you're gonna want to get enough source to handle all of the enemies that are gonna be coming at you when Mute comes up. You're also gonna have a lot of source that way you can set up a good defensive wall, because when Mute comes in, that's when stuff really hits the fan. As far as Heather, she doesn't actually go around Falcon punching everyone like she would usually. And remember, one thing about that can happen. Remember, one thing about the flyer turrets, they can take out your traps, so there's another thing that you need to worry about. And yes, Heather doesn't go Falcon punching everyone, that's just a cutscene thing. God of the Machine says no, but whatever. If she could actually do that, that would have been an interesting ability, but I know that would have probably been overpowered to have a character that can just kill every clockwork that they see. If they had like a recharge time on it, like they do it once in a while, then that'd be cool. Like a one-hit KO, but alas, that's not gonna happen. Oh, we're not going to get any other abilities from this point on, just in case someone wanted to know. Like, we're just not. From now on, it's just going to be Locke, and Locke as he is. He's kind of beefed out already, as far as his abilities. I still think Lock Squid should have gotten a cartoon of some type to keep its popularity up. This is one of those games where I think an actual series would have worked well compared to the Pokemon anime. And, well, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime was alright. It was alright. I didn't really hate it. It was when they started getting into the, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and all that, where it really started to become stupid to me. But, as far as Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't really mind it. Bakugan's a terrible anime, though. They don't even follow the rules of the actual game. They just sit there and they just play. They don't actually follow anything. It's like the rulebook just got thrown out the window when they got turned into an anime. Which is sad, because I think Bakugan could have worked as an anime to an extent, but it just falls. It falters when they don't even follow their own game's rules. Beyblade was another anime where I thought it was alright, but it kind of faltered as well. It faltered more on the fact of what it was compared to what happened in it. Because when you really look at it, Beyblade is tops fighting each other. you know, tops fighting each other isn't exactly the most interesting thing to think about. And when you're really watching it, just think about all the danger that this game that like people are trying to like make up for this game where tops fight each other. Not really great. But either way, I'll see you all in Locke's Quest for part 8, for part 19. Have a nice day.